Hello again, everybody. Wish Doctor here, looking at the markets, and I'm looking at the intraday activity of the currencies, talking about day-over-day activity on an hourly basis. You can see we got the dollar index futures on the left, and followed by the rest of the currencies. You got the yen, Swissy, and the Canadian on the top here, and the euro, the pound, the Australian dollar here across the bottom. And as you know, taking a look here at yesterday's activity versus today, we can see that the market basically did try to break out of yesterday's high here in the dollar sometime around midpoint of the trading session, and then ultimately did retrace back into yesterday's high. You can see support right here at yesterday's high, and now the question is whether or not we are able to push back above this and then push back above 84 even in the dollar index. You can see that we did break outside of yesterday's trading range and continued the strength from yesterday. And across the board here, the yen not able to get outside of yesterday's trading range. It did try to break out of the high here, but retraced and then finished closer to the low than the high. And then at the same time here, you got the Swiss franc, which basically did mimics the dollar. You see this nice up channel, this bullish channel here on the hourly chart. Right now, a little bit of consolidation towards the end, but we did finish right around yesterday's high. This should be support as well. And of course, you have the Canadian dollar, which essentially is was able to break out of yesterday's high, but notice that a big nasty sell-off towards the end of the day, and you had the Canadian dollar closing pretty close to the lows of the previous session, which suggests that the bears may have been able to take control, obviously late in the session. Now the question is whether or not we actually push further down. On the other side of the token, of course, you can see here the euro breaking down below the previous session low. You got this nice little down channel here on the hourly chart, and towards the end of the session, we did break out of the channel. Now the question is whether or not we continue back to the upside. As you were saying here in the dollar index, we lost a little bit of momentum. Same thing with the euro to the downside, and of course the pound responding in the same direction as the euro. Nice downward channel here. It looks like running into a little bit of resistance right about 154.31. Question is whether or not we continue to the downside. Of course, the euro putting in new lows for the year, 121.66. I imagine that probably a little bit more downside momentum before we actually run into some serious buyers. But as you can see, we are charging lower. You got the Australian dollar as well, able to push down below the previous session low. So again, pushing back down towards the one even level, the big parity level, breaking below one spot, 0.180, and continuing to the downside. You can see here that the as the dollar continues to push higher, we did have the response that we should be looking for. You had the dollar obviously pushing up, the euro, pound, and the Australian dollar pushing down, and this is a pretty good good way to focus on how the market is aligning itself. Dollar goes up, euro, pound, Aussie should go down. Yeah, the Swiss franc up, and the Canadian dollar is the only one that really wasn't acting properly, I guess you would say, where it did have a nice spike or nice momentum to the upside, but did fail and lost its momentum. Going forward, we'll have to pay attention to what the higher time frames are telling us, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. But as for now, you can see that the dollar is trying to continue to push higher. Now the question is how we finish into tomorrow's price action. So that's all I got for this market wrap. This is Wish Doctor signing off. Good luck in your trading. We'll see you at the next update.